And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and I'm delighted to welcome back my longtime friend, Coach Craig Parker from New London High School. And Chop, we go back far enough, we can be a little on the informal side, I guess, here.
Yeah, way back.
We go back to grammar school, Harbor and Winthrop, having battles with the inter-school competitions in flag football.
Yeah, flag for basketball.
And basketball. So we go back a day or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well as through Buckley Junior High and high school. Played football together at New London High School for wearing Coach Buonicor's first team.
Oh, yeah,
we were
sophomore year.
sophomores.
Yeah, that's right. First year at New London.
So it was, we've been through some battles together, and so I want to welcome you back. And you know, you've, as noted in the paper very recently, you've made a decision to step down as the head basketball coach at Illinois High School for the boys after almost 30 years. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, 30 years total, 29 as a head coach, and 36 years total. I'm sorry, and 7 as assistant coach with Ralph Rajai. Yeah, so it was a long time, man. 36 years.
You know, and you've Ralph had achieved just some tremendous success, and during your tenure, the bar was set high. And,
well,
you met and exceeded it.
Well, you know, Marty, when I took the job, I think I recall. I think my first article in the paper, I believe I just said I just wanted to keep the program, you know, where it was at, you know, and build from there, you know. Ralph left for the state title. I was fortunate in the following year and happened to win the state title my very first year with Tom Publi as my assistant coach. Upset a very good Trinity Catholic Stanford team, a Catholic school, which is always a hard thing to do, to beat a Catholic school, and you know, we pulled it off.
Pretty large area.
Yeah, and you said the right word, recruit. Yeah. Yep.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, but one thing I always admired you've always spoken your mind. You haven't minced words. You haven't taken fools lightly. And when you've been asked about the goals and aspirations for your squads, it's been state titles. I mean,
Yeah. Well, anyway,
your ECC titles are nice, but your ultimate
secondary
goal,
right, was a state title. Yeah. You know, I you know, Marty, I've always been, you know, I consider myself, you know, a straight shooter. You know, how I feel. People ask me a question, you know, I try to answer it as honest as I can and as direct as I can. And, you know, and that's just the type of person, you know, that I am, you know. Yeah.
And you've been at this job now long enough where you've had some exceptional ball players, and you've also seen some, I think, rather exceptional changes in how high school athletics, not just basketball, is handled. I mean, I don't believe that, you know, AAU was the big deal it was when you started, as if, for instance, in the movement of players and the name, image, likeness, which hasn't percolated down to the high school yet, but well, I can see it coming.
Well, you know, Marty, you know, with the movement of young men now, for various reasons. Don't take me wrong when I say this, but it's almost like there aren't any whalers anymore, any true whalers, because kids will just, you know, leave, you know. They'll just leave. Whatever the player or the parent think presents a better opportunity, you know, they're gonna move. They're gonna move on. So
that's a big change.
well, it's a huge
coming
change.
Through, when you lived in a community, we New London guys,
Right.
you knew you were going to play for New London.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah.
And you were going to play for the hometown team and the green and gold in our case, and for New London, and the community would get behind you, the school would get behind you, and a lot of that has changed.
And then when you I thought the ECC for the last 10, 12 years, as far as the illegal recruiting and trying to influence players to leave a particular school to go to a different school, it was, to me, especially locally, it was like a cesspool. I think it's toned down a little bit with the movement of certain coaches not at certain schools, and I mean, to me, it wasn't any secret. I believe administrators knew what was going on, mainly athletic directors and whatever, and it was just being allowed, and it was impacting our program, but not to a great degree. It wasn't impacting our program to a great degree, but and I was one. I know I had a conversation with Mr. Orby, our athletic director, when he came here, and I just let him know. I said, I run a clean program here. I'm not going to recruit. When I retire, there's not going to be an adult or a young man that can say, Coach Parker tried to induce me to come to New London High School and play basketball. Because, the players that we had come to New London High School, and we've had some great players that have voluntarily come to New London, to play since I've been the head coach. Kids from communities like Stonington, Montville, kids moving here from out from different states to come play for me. I mean, impact players. I mean, we're talking kids like Alan Cheney, Chris Dunn, Colin Sawyer, Seth Lake, and I mean, I can go on and on.
That's it.
All these kids came to play at New London voluntarily. And some of the kids that left New London, they certainly were not the impact players of the kids that came to New London to play at New London High School. And it was all legit. I did no recruiting. I did no recruiting whatsoever. And that's one of the things I'm proud about. All my former players can say, we did it right. We did it right. Coach Parker didn't break the rules. We didn't break the rules. We won championships. We did it the right way. Yeah. Nothing, no shady things going on. No. And there's shady things going on right now. There's shady things going on.
Well, when you have the player movement, and it's gotten easier to move. I mean, years ago, if you moved, you had to sit out a year, if I'm not mistaken. Now you move and move and play.
Yeah. Well, if the parent, I believe the rule is if the parents move to a different community, you obviously have to go where your address says you can play at. So. Yeah, if it's a parent thing and they move.
With the advent, between parochial schools and with the magnet programs and things of that nature, and they're all over the state. It's not like it's just here in Southeastern Connecticut. I mean, it's Hartford, New Haven, everywhere. They're trying to expand these educational opportunities statewide,
and also the impact we have also now is also prep schools.
Yes,
kids will go to prep schools, and and I'm perfectly honest when I say this. I think a lot of people waste money. Now I'm talking just in terms of basketball, which is supposed to be the driving force why they might leave a high school to go play basketball, looking for a different opportunity, whatever. Repeat a year. I mean, the whole thing about kids repeating 8th grade is a whole new phenomenon. And you're going to have some kids that are even going to do that at the other end. They're going to go to a prep school year, and a lot of times, my saying is, if you're a Division III player going into prep school, and you're going to be a Division III player coming out of prep school, why go? Why waste your money? And I think there are a lot of people around here now that are doing that. Taking their kids into prep schools, and like, your son's a Division III player. That's what they're going to be when they come out. That's what they're going to be.
But I watch our local D3 schools. I mean, Conn and Mitchell Coast Guard, and Conn and Coast Guard are both in terrific conferences.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
Mitchell's moving into a terrific
Mitchell's
conference
moving,
with at St. Joseph's of West
Yeah,
Hartford with
yeah.
Glenn Miller. Competition stiff, and I don't know if some of the kids actually realize how good these players are.
Absolutely. You have to be a good player to play in particular Connecticut Colleges Conference. That's right up there as one of the top Division III conferences in the entire country, not just in the region. You know, and you just have to be a good player. You have to be a good player to play in that league.
I mean,
They have some really good
within
teams.
the last half dozen years, I saw Amherst play at Con, and that year they won the national title. And it was either the year before or after, but in Coast Guard's league, Babson, which is outside of Boston, they won the national title.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, the talent level.
No, the
is
talent. Hey, we had Colin Sawyer playing at a great academic school, Brandeis.
Yeah.
You know, it's
also outside of Boston. I think
outside of
Waltham.
Boston. You know, and you know, a good school, great academic school. You know, we've had. I'm proud of the fact, not just basketball. I'm proud of the fact. In just speaking in terms of kids that have went on to the collegiate level, you know, some of them went on, didn't play basketball in college, but I mean, I've coached kids that, I mean, how many coaches can sit here and say they've had 3 of their players, former players, attend Ivy League schools? You know, I had my son go to a good school, CJ, like Northeastern, Colin Sawyer at Brandeis, and I mean, I can go on and on. I've had some great academic kids. I've had class valedictorians, class presidents that played under me, and you know, I'm equally as proud of that.
I must have, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. But, to be able to coach a boy, CJ. I mean, and he was not the most skilled kid when he started, and by the time he was a senior, he was a rugged. He was a good high school ball player.
Yeah, no, he was a nice high school player. You know, he knew the game. You know, he had a good feel for the game. He had a nice career at London. Really nice career. Very, very proud of him. My son Matthew also played for me. I mean, I coached both my sons, and I think probably the biggest disappointment in my career in terms of basketball was the 2015 team with CJ and Colin and Seth and Abate Metz and those guys, and you know, we were 23-0 at one point, and not being able to get that team to the state final. You know, that's one of my biggest disappointments. They're a great bunch of kids, a real strong, a very strong academic class. Yeah. That team, very, very, very strong. And that was certainly one of the biggest disappointments, if not the biggest, of my career. Yeah. Not being able to take those kids all the way, you know, to the championship.
And I would suspect, too, over the course of your career that you have built a rapport with college coaches, and that, you know, if you've got players that they may be contacting you for people who you might think may be a good fit with their program, or you may call them and say, look, I got a kid who's...
Right. Well, we've certainly utilized that and did that. You know, I've been accused recently by the administration at the school from my athletic director that, you know, I don't help kids in that regard, and, you know, things of that nature. That's one of the accusations he has said about me. I don't help kids, you know, post-secondary, you know, to the idea. I don't help kids academically. I mean, this all happened on my evaluation last year for the 21-22 season. All of a sudden, I just became like this dummy. Like, all of a sudden, I don't do these things, you know, at the school, helping kids out, and you know, it just goes on and on.
Now, you were hired by Jimmy O'Neill.
Yeah, but Jimmy O'Neill was the athletic director. He gave me my first opportunity. Forever grateful for that. Was a great athletic director. You know, one of the best athletic directors, you know, I've experienced, and I've experienced. I'm guessing off the top of my head,
quite a few.
10 or 11 athletic directors. You know, and unfortunately, in leaving, the athletic director that's currently there, our relationship wasn't good. You know, and I don't know. I mean, he would schedule our games for us. Wouldn't even like my experience with athletic directors was, if a school called inquiring about a game, they would have the courtesy to give me a phone call and say, hey, coach, what do you think about playing this game? Yay, nay, or think about it. Unfortunately with him, he would just schedule games, wouldn't get input. And I'm a long time, veteran coach, wouldn't get input from me in terms of games, et cetera. So, it was just things I wasn't used to. It was just entirely different experience with Phil Orby as my athletic director. So.
Well, but you didn't allow that to deter you from achieving success. Your teams were yeah. And one thing I smile at is that, and I'm a fan, and I go to as many games as I'm able to. I like to watch the boys' teams as well as the girls. But for our neighboring schools, especially in the ECC, whether New London is up or perhaps we're having a down year, and they happen occasionally, that when our neighboring schools defeat us, I mean, it's a big deal. That it's like that's their that's made their season. Right, we beat New London, and
well, when you're at New London, especially if you defeat any team locally, just the nature of who we are is it isn't a big deal. I mean, New London is a brand. You got some people that say, well, I'm not doing a good enough job branding our program or whatever. I'm like, what? We've been a brand for a while, New London basketball. This isn't I won't name. Well, this isn't any other local team.
Yep.
We've played in national events. We've played against teams from as far away as California. We've been invited. We were the first school in the history of Connecticut to be invited to the Big Apple Classic in New York City, and which is a major event bringing schools from all over the country. We played San Diego High School from California there. We were invited when we had Alan Cheney. Then we were invited down to give with Chris Dunn. We've played in the Hoop Hall Classic, which is a huge event in Springfield, Mass. Played against, I think, a team from Albany, New York in that. So New London's brand is known. I mean, we're well respected, throughout New England. Everybody knows who New London is.
You've scheduled games in Rhode Island, and you certainly have looked and scheduled the traditional powerhouses in Connecticut out of New Haven, Hartford, and Bridgeport.
Right.
You haven't shied away from competition.
No, we didn't shy away from competition. And I retire with the program trending upward. Quarterfinals last year, semifinals this year. The program's trending upward. So.
And you hit 500 wins this year.
Oh yeah, that was a huge milestone. Listen, I had 495 wins. There wasn't any way I wasn't coming back to coach this past season. Okay, I'm not going to cheat kids. I'm always motivated, and I'm always going to fight for New London kids. I'm always going to fight for New London kids. That was certainly a personal goal of mine, to get that close, and I'm proud. I knew it was a big milestone, a big milestone accomplishment, and I was certainly going to end my career. Because as you know, if you didn't know, I was back as a probationary coach this year, imposed by Mr. Orby and I believe some of his people above him. They put me in a probationary status, and it was at some point where.
What is it with New London High School and coaches? I mean,
I don't know, and I know that.
I mean, even going back to Coach Bunacore, I mean, he was kind of muscled out.
Right.
I mean, after an extended, highly successful football program.
No, absolutely. But I was put on probationary status, Marty, and I was also. Mr. Orby had the ability, if it got to it, if I incurred one technical foul this year, he had the ability to terminate me. So I was not going to give Mr. Orby that opportunity. I just was not going to give him that opportunity to fire me because, some of the things that he had on my evaluation from the 21-22 season, is like, wow. Like, wow, really? I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I never coached before, as opposed to my evaluation the prior season, which was all superlative. All of a sudden, I get this really adverse evaluation, as I say, which had me, and I can tell you, I had that with the backdrop of, which he nominated me for initially, as a finalist in the entire country.
Yeah.
I was one of the 8 finalists for representing Connecticut in New London High School out in Iowa last summer.
That's right.
So I went to this big national event knowing, as I'm riding to Iowa, that, whoa, you're a probationary coach. Your administration has it where you can be fired if you get one technical foul. And I'm riding out there to this national event that's going to be out there with all these people from all over the country. And I tell you, it's something I'll never forgive them for. It's something I'll never forget. You know, I just thought that, what they did to me this year was dehumanizing. It was like I had shackles on me during games because, you know,
Well, you were certainly lower key than.
Well, I had to be. I
mean, you had your coach that was kind of running the bench.
How can anyone coach how can anyone do their job as a coach if you're coaching on the pretense if you receive one? Now, keep in mind, I have all my scorebooks. I have my scorebooks show me in 29 years, almost 700 games with only 11 technical fouls in my entire career. Okay, my entire career. Okay, and I'm on this thing where if you get a technical foul, that you're terminated. I'm like, you know, it just didn't make sense to me. I think there was, to me, I would have to say there was other ulterior motives. Maybe, you know, wanting me to get that one technical foul, perhaps to fire myself. I mean, I don't know. But in any event, it was very.
You alluded to. And I was at that game when you played at home against St. Bernard.
Yeah.
And at halftime, you didn't come back out.
Yeah. Well, it might have been a little bit after that or before that, because you know one of the reasons was
you went in before halftime.
Yeah. That was, I think that was 4 games into the season. 4 games into the season, and I had fans yelling behind me, and I don't know why, because I sat like the prior season. I mean, I had the year of my poor evaluation. I coached 75% of that season with an torn Achilles tendon. Went through surgery and sat on the bench the entire year. Okay, basically, Kareem Brown was the face of the team. Was the face of the team. You know, and all of a sudden,
and that injury occurred as you're celebrating a victory. Correct?
Yes, up at Norwich. Yeah, just stepped up and it popped.
Unbelievable.
And I had this adverse, I don't know, evaluation. You know, which was I think was like I say, to me what they did to me was. It was dehumanizing, man. Just the way it had me feeling at times, the way I was being treated by the administration.
Well, one thing I'll share with you, Chop. I mean, when you were the head coach at a premier school in the sport, as you have been for 3 decades,
yeah,
you're in the public eye. I've been in New London politics, which has been known to be a blood sport at times, and again you're in the public eye, and you're not going to keep all the people happy all the time. That's for sure.
Yeah. There
are people that are going to come after you.
Well,
for one reason or another.
Well,
I mean,
you know,
it's funny. I mean, you make a decision, and
well, I've always in all years, all my assistant coaches can tell you this. I've always said to them that when people are going to come after you, they're going to exaggerate and they're going to lie. They're going to exaggerate and they're going to lie. A lot of them, 90% of the time, when they're coming after you, because I experience it with disgruntled parents. Okay, and a lot of their presentation is exaggeration and is lies. You know, they're trying to come after you. You know, they're trying to come after you. And unfortunately, in this case with me, it was so-called educators. You know, it was so-called educators that were coming after me with exaggerations and lies, because they're clearly on my evaluation. They were lies and exaggerations. I can give you an example. Mr. Orby had me for 3 technical fouls last season, and he named the specific games. Well, guess what? You know, you have that on an evaluation about technical fouls. You need to have it right. You know, I had 2 technical fouls. There weren't 3. He named games and everything. Okay, there weren't 3. There were only 2 technical fouls. And those technical fouls, one of them was essentially at the end of the game when I was questioning a call that had determined the outcome of the game. And the other one was at NFA, the game I ended up getting hurt. I was talking to a referee at halftime about a late call that wasn't called against one of my players. Just talking to him, as I said, that's the operative word, not screaming and yelling. And the other referee 15 feet away, he turns and gives me a technical foul. So they were my 2 technical fouls. It wasn't like I was a raging madman during the game in acquiring those technical fouls.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you know, but the whole idea is, and then it said I had a technical foul in the St. Bernard's game in New London, which I did not have. I sat down and watched that game from beginning to end because no one around me could recall me having a 3rd technical foul at the St. Bernard's game in New London. Yeah. Okay. Which I didn't have. I watched the entire game. Actually, in that game, St. Bernard's had 2 technical fouls called on them. Yeah. That was the game where there were bottles being tossed in New London. That was that game. That was that game.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that most basketball coaches, at some point in time, will have teas.
It's an emotional.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's John Wooden, who has a newspaper rolled up in his hand, who sits there quietly. I mean, but not everybody has John Wooden's talent.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, that's correct. So yeah, I mean, so it was a, I believe, you know, the Game Time Connecticut. I don't know if you're aware of that. That's the New Haven Register. They call it Sports Now Game Time Connecticut. Yeah, Game Time Connecticut. Joe Morelli, their sports writer, called me up late last week after hearing about my retirement, and I think. You know, if you access Game Time Connecticut is a little weird because during the articles, they put advertisements and other stuff. You got to make sure you keep scrolling down till you get to the end of the article. Because when I was reading it, I didn't get to the end of the article. My wife came home, she had access it, and she was reading something to me that I hadn't even read. I said, where's that at? She said, well, you got to keep scrolling down. I said, oh, wow. So, you know, but anyway, I thought he did a more fair approach to my retirement, the way he presented the article. I think people can get a better feel for some of the things that were going on by reading this particular article. Now the New London Day article, I contacted Mike DeMoro about it because I had people tell me they thought it wasn't a complimentary article about me, the way he presented and worded things in the article, which I was interesting that people would tell me that because I agreed with it. I didn't think he presented it the right way, okay? Because there were other things going on which he didn't give a clear picture. I mean, if you read his article talking about the academics and the huddle thing about filming games, etc., I mean, you get the impression like those things weren't being done. Those things weren't being done.
Yeah. One thing
and that's ridiculous.
This is just my own personal experience in the political arena. I mean, one thing I learned about the media is that I don't trust them ever to tell my story the way I want it to be told.
Right.
If they've got an agenda or if they've got
absolutely
their oown perspective, that's how they're going to present it. They're not necessarily going to get into your head.
And I'm not talking about this because I actually communicate with Mike about what I just said, and like the huddle thing, going back to my evaluation, Orby puts on there how I wasn't utilizing huddle. I had never had any communication with Orby concerning huddle. This service about filming it. I had never had any communication, either verbally or electronically. Because when he had that on as an adverse thing on my evaluation, I'm like, what's he talking about? I had never had any communication with Mr. Orby concerning huddle. And actually this year, we had huddle all set up. Kareem Brown was going to do the huddle. Because Marty, if you gave me your number right now, I wouldn't even know how to put it in my phone. Okay, I'm not technological. So Kareem was going to handle the huddle. We had it set up with the huddle representative, but guess what? It was never done. And the main reason is because Mr. Aubrey never gave us the equipment to do the huddle. I mean, I'm not buying with it. I'm not buying a camera myself, a filming thing. Kareem certainly wasn't buying one. We were never presented with anything to do it this year, and we were all set up to do it. Kareem was going to be the contact person with the huddle representative post the games. We were never provided anything for the huddle, anything for the huddle. But yet on my evaluation the year before, it was an adverse thing, which I had no communication with Mr. Aubrey whatsoever.
Well, until I read it in
It's just
article, I wasn't even familiar with this.
Well, and it's not, if you read the New London thing, it's like, okay, I'm just not doing that. No, that wasn't the case. And then about me taking a more active role in the players' academic progress. I mean, are you serious? I mean, we ask kids all the time, hey, how you doing in class? How's things going in class? If you're not doing well, you have to see Mr. Public. That's the way it's set up in New London. So to present the picture in the New London Day article, like I wasn't even taking a role in their academics, and for Mr. Aubrey to even have that on my evaluation was grossly unfair, because I could show you the evaluation from the year before of all the positive things he said about me supporting the academics at New London High School. But so then in that year of 21-22, I wasn't doing those things, and you write this down as an adverse thing that I'm not promoting and helping kids academically. But the year before, it was all superlatives in that regard. So they just hit me with all of this stuff like on this evaluation, like out of the blue. I mean,
Well,
they just hit me out of the blue.
I mean,
So
it baffles me that a gentleman, like I say at the top. I mean, I've known you for 60 years.
Yeah.
And you're hardworking, out for the New London kids. You're a New London guy. Always had their backs.
Absolutely. Marty, I'm one of those kids, man. I grew up here. I grew up in East New London, man, hard by the Gold Star Bridge, man, industrial, right near the State Pier, man. I'm one of those kids, man. I'm from the old East New London, the old Main Street. I'm one of those kids. When I look out in that locker room, you know what? I'm one of those guys, and I want the best for them. I'm not going to cheat them. I'm not going to try to help them. And attack me like that, like to present the case that I'm not doing that, it hurts me right here. Yeah. I'm one of those guys, man. I'm born and raised in New London. Yeah. I'm one of those guys, man.
That's what I say with when I mentioned Buney earlier. I mean, John McCullough with baseball, he had some bad experience.
Yeah.
Even Johnny Burns last year with football. I mean, I thought the way he was cut loose was not handled very well.
I don't know what happened, but I thought I thought it was, just my opinion. Again, I thought it was grossly unfair that he wasn't allowed to coach the last game.
Yeah,
it seemed like he had been cleared. I mean, his son's playing. I mean, why not let him coach the last game? I mean, of his career with his son. It seemed like he was cleared by the DCF or whatever. I don't know all the details about his situation, but I thought like I don't know. Let the guy coach the last game. He's cleared. What's the issue? You guys are covered. They cleared him. The state agency, whatever it was, let him coach the game. It's one game left. Like what is the big deal? Well, I don't know. Maybe they knew more than we knew. I don't know.
Well, I just think it hasn't looked good for the school and how they've handled some of these cases, and yours included. It just, I mean, I know what you've done, and you've got a lot to be proud of, and I think the fact that you alluded to this earlier, that the quality of some of the folks that have come into the program, it's because it's a good, solid program. It's a winning program. Mm-hmm. And in high school sports, if you're not performing academically, you can't play.
Right. So, I mean, any coach is just shooting himself in the foot if he doesn't want to see his kids and help his kids academically and promote it, because you need your kids to play. Yeah. So I mean,
the kids won't
ridiculous.
Won't play at the next level at all.
Yeah, it's just
if they're not performing academically,
Yeah.
because the college coaches, they want kids that
yeah,
are going to get it done in the classroom,
yeah.
especially at the D3 level. I mean, the D3, there's no scholarship, so these kids have got to want to go in there, and they got to want to play, and be able to also handle the load. If you're going to a con or any of the schools in that conference or Coast Guard conference, I mean, you get some high standing academic skills.
Absolutely. But yeah, the career was great. I wouldn't trade my career for any other coaches. I think from a standpoint of especially being at a public school, and I did everything the right way, not recruiting kids. The success that I've had with individual players, some of their awards. I mean, Chris Dunn is obviously the most decorated high school player in the state of Connecticut history in terms of basketball. I don't know.
And he's back in the show. I
He's
didn't know if he was ever going to make it,
Yeah,
and
no.
then he's climbed back in.
He's
Gotta
back
give him-
in,
gotta give him credit.
and he has a contract for the following year. You know, I've had some uniqueness to my career. I mean, most schools don't have a 50-point scorer in their history. I mean, I've coached 3 kids with 50-plus games,
Tyson
which is
Wheeler?
no. Tyson wasn't under me. He was under Rajai.
Oh,
it was
okay.
It was Rob Sanders, the late great Rob Sanders.
Yep.
You know, bless his soul. It's very unfortunate. I can't even discuss that right now. But Alan Cheney
Yep.
and Keith Porter, who holds the record. Rob Sanders had 50, Alan Cheney had 55, and Keith Porter had continues to hold the school record with 56. I've coached 3, and this might be unique. Not only I'm sure it's unique in Connecticut. No coach has ever done this. Maybe even nationwide, it has to be a very short list. I've coached a professional basketball player, Chris Dunn, professional football player, A.J. Dillon. He was in our program his freshman year. Dress varsity. He's in our varsity team photo. And Rajai Davis in baseball. I mean, I've coached kids all 3 major sports.
That's
which
amazing.
Which is certainly it's astounding. It really is. Like I say, I don't know how many coaches have ever been fortunate enough to do that nationwide, let alone Connecticut. Because I'm sure it hasn't happened in Connecticut. So I've had little unique things like that. Great teams, great kids, great players. It was just, I have to be honest. It was just an outstanding career. You know, I would have never guessed. I would have had the career that I've had, and I'm not going to deter what they were doing to me this past season, because my legacy was set before even Mr. Orby became the athletic director. I mean, my legacy was set.
Your legacy is set. I mean, your esteem in the community.
Oh yeah, Marty, I mean,
way up here.
I mean, the people I've seen just congratulating me. Some of the texts I have gotten from my former players, or if someone didn't know, because I'm not on social media, through other members of my family. It's just been it's just been nice. It's really been nice. It's really been nice. I seen a total stranger yesterday, a guy I didn't know. He said, "Hey, congratulations! You had a great career out in London. We're proud of everything you did. We're proud of what you did here." And, so it's been like that.
But it's not, for lack of better words, it's not just you. I mean, look what happened with Jim Boeheim up at Syracuse. I mean, he just kind of got the squirrel.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's you don't know what's making people, what's motivating.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You do the best you can. I mean, do you foresee yourself doing any more coaching, or are you all done?
No, I mean, I have, no. But, speaking of coaching, I don't know, Marty. Maybe volunteering somewhere or something like that. I don't know. But, I've had, I have two former players coaching, both head coaches in boys and girls basketball at Ledger. Probably, I don't know. We'll see who gets my job at New London.
Did Kareem play for you? Was he?
Oh yeah, Kareem. Oh yeah, Kareem was a great player, two-time All-State. Kareem's a unique, interesting player, and I used to tell the kids utilize Kareem. Kareem played junior college. He played prep school, junior college, Division II, and Division I. The only aspect he didn't play was Division III. So that's just a unique career in itself. And Kareem's a good coach. He did a great job this year. He was the face of the program because I was not going to stand up and coach once again because I wasn't going to give Mr. Orby an opportunity to potentially fire me. Because a referee can just give you a technical foul just at his whim. If you think he's looking at him Google-eyed or something. He can give you a technical foul. Yeah, absolutely. So I was not going to. So what I'm saying, Marty, is my legacy was not going to be where I was terminated at New London High School, and that's why I chose to retire. One of the major reasons I chose to retire this year also was the fact that I was not going to go in, sit down with Mr. Orby, and give him the opportunity to check on my evaluation, which I'm quite certain it was going to be a non-rehire. And I was not going out that way. And I wasn't giving him, with great pleasure, that opportunity to do it. And I was like, Marty, I was basically all set probably to retire this year anyway. I sort of maxed it out,
You're 70 years old now.
70 years old, reached my goals, So, yeah, so, it's, I reached my personal goals, things of that nature, and there wasn't much left for me to do. And like I said earlier, the program's trending upward. When I left, we made the state semifinals this year.
Well, you got through COVID.
Yeah.
I'm sure that brought some challenges and struggles.
COVID was definitely challenging times. No question about it. No question about it. But so it was a very very rewarding career, and my wife was with it, for the whole ride. She was great over the whole course, and as I said earlier, I coached my two sons, and one of the most rewarding things was the 2011 state championship because all my kids were old enough to remember that state title in particular. We ended up being unanimous #1 team in the state that year. Just an outstanding team. #1 in the state. Great player. Marty, Chris Dunn. And some other uniqueness about it. I'm one of only 4 coaches to ever coach McDonald's All-American in the entire state. There's just a lot of uniqueness to my little interesting things, And I remember Jimmy O'Neill was at the school for my 500th win, which he came in the locker room after the game, which I I'm like I say, I'm always indebted to Jimmy O'Neill.
Somebody's got to give you that chance.
He gave me an opportunity. He saw something in me, that New London guy, and an assistant coach for 6 years, and
think about that. Here's Jimmy O'Neill, who's baseball coach, athletic director, and even as good as he was, he ended up in Waterford.
Yeah.
He didn't finish in New London.
Right,
think about that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, New London guy through and through. No question about it. New London guy through and through. It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. But like you say, I don't even know how many 20-win seasons. I know we had one this year, a bunch of 20-win seasons.
You had to have a bunch of 20-win seasons to get to 500.
That's right, absolutely, and only 29 years, which isn't bad. But 2 Gatorade Players of the Year, state of Connecticut. I don't know how many public schools have done that. If any other public school, we've had 2. Which is a very prestigious award. Numerous All-State players, New London Day Player of the Year, Players of the Year. And like I say, strong academic players, and all my players that have just gone on and just having a life, doing successful things, no matter what they do. Because I'm one to always tell people, and I firmly believe this: college isn't for everyone. Everyone wants college. That's what they want to teach in schools now. College isn't for everyone. Everyone doesn't want to go to college. I mean, look at New London now. If you want to take a shop or something or learn a skill, you have to go to Griswold. Those places are gone. They're getting ready to knock down that whole wing at New London. You can't even get in a public school. So if you want that, you have to go to Griswold Tech or Norwich Tech or something. And everyone doesn't want to go to college, man. Gear things for kids that just don't want to go to college, man. Help them out.
Now, when you got out of high school, I mean, you enlisted in the Air Force, correct?
Well, no. It was a few years after. I went in the Army for 3 years.
All right, but you went in the service.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Best move of my life, because it took me from one place to a different. Yeah, so I look back at that experience. I think it was probably one of the most crucial decisions. To do that, in the way everything played out after that. Yeah, so everyone has to find their niche and, find their way, yeah.
Well, all I know is you're doing a hell of a job, and you got a lot to be proud of. You got a good family, you got a good wife.
Absolutely.
And you've represented yourself and the school and the community well. And I'm proud to be your friend. I've known you a long time, and
yeah, well, I appreciate that.
We go back a long ways. We've been on opposite sides of the field and court, but at the same token, we've been teammates and classmates.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
went through some battles together. No question about it.
We've been through, and we've worked and been players with some coaches that have had impact on our lives, and the type of impact you've had on the lives of a lot of other young men who have played on your squads.
Yep, absolutely.
Head coach is it's a big deal for a young teenager.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. No doubt.
So
no doubt, man. And like you say, I'm proud of all of that, Marty. I really am, and I appreciate it. Yeah, no question.
No.
It's been quite a ride, man. it was quite a ride. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I suspect it's interesting being the local guy, the hometown guy, is that some of the pressures that I'm sure that you had to deal with that if you were not. Because you know everybody, you know the players, you know their parents, you've grown up with parents, and I'm sure many of them think that, well, I know the coach, so I've got an in, and that's going to help my kid. And you may not necessarily view the kid's talent the same as the parent.
And it certainly has played out that way at times. That's. It certainly has played out that way. That's all I'll say about that.
Well, I'm not looking for you to say. I'm just making a point. I mean, and also the advent of AAU ball. I mean, where you're as a coach of a high school team, you're trying to promote teamwork and support your school and the community. And I'm not sure necessarily that AAU ball promotes that, or if it's promoting the individual.
Some programs are better than others, for sure.
Yeah.
Some programs, do really benefit kids. Some are better than others. Some of them are just essentially a money grab. To be honest. Yeah. But some are there's good programs.
Yeah. But some of the changes that you've seen over, like I say, decades. I mean, it's not the same. And at the college level, especially with the this portal, I guess they call it, and the name, image, likeness, you see some of these big stud coaches, Jay Wright, Kashevsky, and others that are either been pushed out or have retired because I guess they've just gotten tired of it. It's
Yeah.
you know, they've had their success and
Yeah.
they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. No, yeah. You can't blame them.
Yeah.
You know,
And they're the best.
Yeah, you can't blame them. Yeah, so it's so you know, we wait, you know, see who's going to be the you know, get the job, be the next coach, and hopefully they can keep the program trending forward. And
I can support
You
your
know.
wife's team now. She's coaching softball.
Yeah.
She coaches volleyball too, right?
yeah,
So get out there and support her teams.
keep the program moving forward. Hopefully, you know, do it the right way, you know, and keep trending forward. You know, that's what I hope happens. Because I'm a New London grad, I'm a New London guy, and I certainly want to see the program
Do well.
do well, be successful.
Yeah.
You know, no question about it. You know, no doubt.
Well, you know, you've survived. You've been a survivor. I mean, you don't make 29 years without giving and taking along the way and achieving success. Not every year's been a home run, but you've had more successes than failures by a long shot.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt, you know, and, you know, I just, like I say, I try to do the things the right way. I didn't get distracted by, you know, I'm not on social media, but you certainly hear about things people are saying about you on social media and such. And, you know, but I never let that bother me. You know, I never let that get to me. You know, my focus was always on New London High School, and you know, put the best team on the court and win games for New London High School. You know, despite all the naysayers
And your squads
you know,
have conducted themselves well too. They've
Oh,
been
yeah.
fine young men,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they maintain their equilibrium.
Yeah,
They
no
play the
doubt.
game, and whether they win or if they come up short, they, you know,
no
they
question.
recognize that
Yeah, no
they're
question.
part of something a little bit bigger.
No, we always represented New London High School as a program. There's no doubt in my mind, very well. You know, we've always represented New London High School very well.
Yeah.
You know, for my first
and there are
year.
the naysayers who are always looking for
Right.
London to slip on a banana peel.
Right.
And
Yeah, from my very first year to my very last year, you know, we did things the right way, and you know, we represented the school in our program, you know, the right way. There's no doubt in my mind about that. We did it the right way, and like I said, I just hope that continues.
yeah, well, I don't know what the future is going to bring for you, Chop, but I'll tell you, I hope that whatever you
Well,
whatever,
believe it or not, I'm thinking about maybe getting into on the local officiating board
well,
and doing
Judge Green-
maybe some middle school and freshman games. You know, it's something.
Judge Green referees.
Yeah, it's something that I'm. You know, it's something that you know, I've talked to a few basketball officials about it. It's something that you know,
There's a need.
I might consider. Well, yeah, but I'm not looking to be running up and down with varsity and JV games. You know, you know, just to, you know, maybe a few days a week, do some middle school games and freshman games maybe. You know, just to stay involved and, you know, stay active in that regard. You know.
So we won't see you on the NBA Finals then.
No.
Well, listen, I want to wish you the best. It's been a terrific program.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh yeah, no
We'll have you
question.
come back in. We can shoot the breeze about almost anything here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Folks, you've been watching City Focus. I've had Coach Craig Chop Parker in, and it's been a terrific time spent. We'll be back next week. My scheduled guest is Barbara Neff, and we'll be discussing some of our downtown activities for the next this upcoming summer. And with that, say good night.